Welcome. Today I'm speaking to Maya Huchan, President of Global Leadership Associates, who is speaking on track 3 at the conference. Welcome, Maya.
Thank you, Sue. I'm glad to be here.
Now, I know your topic at the conference is around helping leaders to develop cultural agility, inclusive leadership, and a global mindset. And a lot of the work that you'll be talking about comes from your most recent book, Saving Face: How to Preserve Dignity and Build Trust. So tell us about the journey that caused you to write this book in the first place.
Well, it has been a long time coming, Sue. I have been working as executive coach and also leadership development educator for decades. And over the years that as I work with leaders around the world, that I have heard and understand that all the struggles the challenges that they've had working with their teams. And one thing that I have shared with them is this concept about saving face that resonate with leaders at all levels across cultural differences. And it's so essential to their leadership, but it's also counterintuitive sometimes. And so when people talk about it's not about the money, and this term was used when people hear about this, the real issue is often about face. So I wanted to share this concept in the book to really help leaders go deeper and understand what it means to leadership and then what it takes to really build authentic long-term relationship with the people they work with so that they can be effective in their leadership role and they can also really build this relationship that has benefit to everyone involved.
Well, that makes a lot of good sense, Maya. And I imagine coaches working with leaders as well have to think about this concept as well. How can coaches use and utilize the idea of saving face themselves?
As an executive coach, that I use this concept quite often with my clients, but then I'm also the coach supervisor working with a lot of coaches. And this concept can absolutely apply to our work as a coach. Now, there are 3 basic concepts of face. Number 1 is, well, first of all, let me define what face means. So face represents one's self-esteem, self-worth, identity, reputation, status, and pride. So if you really think about it, face represents your whole person inside and out. Even though this is originally this concept is from Asia, but this is a universal concept beyond its origin. And it speaks to a deeper human need for dignity, also for being accepted. So as a coach, that we can utilize the concept of face in 3 different ways. Number 1 is the concept of honoring face. And secondly is you wanted to avoid losing face. And number 3 is that how do you save face for your client? So let's kind of briefly talk about each one of them, shall we?
Yeah, that sounds great.
So now, first of all, honor face. So if you look at face in our time, it's like our new social currency. And so when we think about honoring face, it's about building that social currency with people, whether it's with our coaching client or with or our clients working with their team and building relationship with their team members, is to think about the more deposit we have, the more social currency we have, meaning the more face we have with people, and then the easier and faster we can get things done. Because by making that deposit of faith, we're building trust, we're building long-term relationship, and those are actions that we're taking to show respect, admiration, and dignity to others. So now, there are many different ways that we can honor face. And then they're not rocket science. They're actually very simple steps that we can do every single day to honor face for others. For example, we ask people for input and we really listen to them and give them their voice equal time and weight when we're in a conversation. And we express appreciation for what they do and who they are. We empathize and we give credit for what they do and what their contributions are. So there are many ways that we can do to honor somebody's face. Really, ultimately, the message we're sending is that I see you, I hear you, you matter.
I can see by what you're saying, Maya, that that is really important for leaders to demonstrate equitably and fairly with all of their team members.
Yes, absolutely. And as a coach, when we start working with the client, a new client, we wanted to, of course, establish trust with our client. So this concept can work very, very well. It's really about listening, understanding, and put yourself in their position and understand their frame of reference. So then you will be able to establish understanding and trust with the client from day one. So honoring face is the first concept of face. Now, the second concept of face is, we wanted to avoid causing someone to lose face. When I was growing up in Taiwan, that there was a saying that I heard all the time. It is a very old Chinese proverb. It says that spilled water is hard to regain. So what does that mean? That means that, just imagine if you accidentally knock a glass of water off the table and the water spill all over the floor. How hard is it to get it all back in the glass, right? Now, even if you try to get some of them back in the glass, do you still want to drink it? Probably not. And it's not going to be the same. So when we think about losing face, it's very similar to that situation. It's that losing face describes conditions where people feel devalued, humiliated, or unappreciated. Okay, so when people feel that they lose face, it provokes a wide range of negative emotions, such as shame, fear, guilt, vulnerability. If you think about when people feel those emotions, that very likely that they're going to shut down. There's going to be some consequence to it. They either shut down and stop, disengage in a conversation, or perhaps they simply just don't speak up and don't share their ideas. And sometimes they even quit the company, quit their jobs. So it is so important that for leaders to recognize that we can cause somebody to lose face and we don't even know it.
That's quite a scary thought.
Yes. And then so it's important for us to recognize that as leaders, particularly in this day and age that we're working people remotely, we're working with people from different cultural backgrounds, from different generations, and we can't just run on autopilot all the time in assuming that, well, I'm just going to do what I do always, and people are just going to adapt to me. It's actually not that simple. And so if you are running on autopilot all the time, that it's likely you're going to crash and burn. So it's important to realize that how can I avoid causing somebody to lose face? It could be simple things like, you're giving negative feedback in public and you challenge or disagree with someone in a way that's perceived as disrespectful. And it could be that you simply ignore somebody's comment or interrupt somebody when they're speaking, or tell insensitive jokes. The list goes on and on. That we can cause somebody to lose face and we don't even know it. A client of mine told me a true story that this is a gentleman that has been working in a global company for decades, and he's originally from Singapore, so English is very fluent, but he doesn't live in the U.S. or Western countries, so he doesn't always understand some of the nuances in the language. So one time when we were in a coaching conversation, he got on the phone. He said, "Maya, I'm really upset today." I said, "What happened?" "I just got off the phone with my boss, who's American, and he said I'm stupid, and I'm really upset. I'm humiliated." And then I said, "Well, tell me exactly what happened." And what did he say exactly? And he said, well, we were talking about this new project and I have some ideas. And then there were other situations that we're considering. And then so I offered some of my input and he said, that's a no-brainer. So, well, he thought I was stupid. And then as soon as I heard that, then I said, well, wait a minute. This is not really what he meant. So then, of course, I explained what no-brainer means in the Western culture. And he was so relieved. And then we both had a good laugh. Right. So it is something that we do, we don't even know it. That's the good example of running an autopilot, that you can offend somebody and you don't even know it. And this can damage a relationship. And this is a lighter example, but then there are much more serious consequences that if the person feeling humiliated doesn't come and clarify that with you, and then this can cause some real friction in your relationship.
So it seems to me, Maya, that it takes quite a bit of energy to be attentive as a leader all the time to how you're conducting yourself. Would you agree with that?
Well, when you think about takes energy, it really is about, as we think about leadership, it really should be a balance of left brain and right brain, right? So many leaders that I work with that are very much left brain. So they're very analytical, they're result focused, and they're supercharged to get things done. And that's all very good. But then in order to really build trust and loyalty and long-term relationship, leaders need to develop that emotional intelligence. They need to start building the muscle on their right brain, which is more of making connections and be more aware of that people's emotions, and also making that connection to really put yourself in their position to be able to practice empathy. So as we think about the leadership, is that we tend to overuse some of the muscles that we have, but then not using enough of the other side. So it's important to get a balance of that. So when we think about saving face or really help people understand the importance of concept of face, building that connection with people is about start building those muscle memories of not going autopilot, but rather be more mindful and intentional and more self-aware about your actions and your behaviors, and also the impact that you have on others. And I think that that is part of leadership development. That's something that not only the leaders need to do as coaches, that we also wanted to tune in with our clients to be able to build that relationship and effectively saving face for others, meaning that you to be authentic and intentional about turning around a situation to preserve dignity for all parties involved for a positive outcome.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, Maya. Now I know within your book you have a 3A model, the acronym AAA. I'm wondering if you can tell us what those 3A's stand for. It's easy to remember, but what are those things?
Yes. So the 3A model, triple A model, represent three A's. And it's a model to help us work effectively with people with diverse backgrounds. And so the first A is aware. So we want to be aware of our own assumptions, our own behaviors and bias. Okay, imagine you have this human antenna on your head, right? Now, if you think about it, in the old days, we had those old-fashioned radio. When we have the antenna up, that we can hear much more clear. We can receive all sorts of signals. But what happens when your antenna is down?
You don't hear anything.
That's right. You don't hear anything. And sometimes static, right? A lot of interference. So this is a metaphor to think about raise that awareness. Is raising that your human antenna to really pay attention. And the first thing is to really be aware of your own assumptions, behaviors, and impact, and also your own bias. Nobody is bias free. We all have bias, right? And it's not bad to have bias, but then it's important though to be aware of it. So that's the first step. The first A is awareness. The second A is acquire. So acquire meaning that seeking to understand the other person's frame of reference and, be empathetic, understand where they're coming from. Why do people think and do certain things? Now, so once you acquire those information and then you also have some awareness, then what you do is that the third A is adapt. So then effective global leaders, based on years of research that shows that most effective leaders are strong in adaptability. Okay. So then the leaders can adapt your behaviors and take thoughtful actions to produce positive outcome for everyone involved. So I love to share one of my favorite stories.
Yeah, please do.
About how effective you can save face to preserve dignity and build trust for everyone involved. So let's just call this person Jeff. Now, it's not a real name, but Jeff is the financial director of a global company. He was facing a big crisis. So under his watch, a frontline employee had stolen $100,000 in an 8-month period. And as a financial director, Jeff had designed and deployed this entire cash flow process that allowed this employee to commit this fraud undetected. Well, it was a high profile case and it was discussed not only in security meetings, but also spread very quickly throughout the whole company. Jeff felt entirely responsible and also personally victimized. And this was an example of losing face, big time.
Yeah, it does.
So very soon, the company's COO planned a meeting with Jeff and his team. The stress consumed Jeff. Everybody can see that he lost weight and he couldn't sleep at night, and then he came into the work exhausted and developed a bad rash. And for days, he looked like a dead man walking. When the day finally arrived, the team waited nervously in a conference room for the COO to arrive. And the COO walked in. And he broke the tension with one sentence.
What was the sentence?
Yeah, he said, "I don't care about the theft. Theft is unavoidable, whether one runs a hot dog stand or a multinational company. And our company was insured and would be made whole." And he continued, "I only want to know that you plan to review the process and fix it. And from what I can see, you seem well on your way."
Wow, I bet Jeff was relieved at that comment.
Yes. So everybody could see that Jeff's demeanor immediately brightened. And for the rest of the meeting, Jeff and the COO and the rest of the team focused their energy on solving the problem throughout the meeting and come up with a solution and continue moving forward. So he returned to his job with renewed energy, and the COO had saved his face. Now, so if you think about it, the COO created a psychological safety for Jeff and his team while holding Jeff accountable. So he didn't say, "It's okay, you don't have to worry about it." No, he was holding him accountable, yet also create psychological safety. And then he was kind and firm. And then he chose his words carefully. He showed humility and emotional intelligence when dealing with an emotionally delicate situation. And he helped Jeff overcome shame and embarrassment quickly and refocus his energy on solving the problem and move forward. So he sent a very clear message that I trust you. I have confidence in you and your team to do the right thing. And that is saving face.
What a fantastic example to give us, Maya. I'm sure that those people attending the conference to listen to your session will gain a lot more besides what we've talked about today. How can people follow up with you on the internet or social media if they're interested to learn more about you and the work that you do and the book that you've written?
It's easy. You can go to my website. The website listed all my social media connections. And so my website is my name, www.mayahuchan.com. And that's MAYAHUCHAN.com. And if you are interested in ordering the book, you can also get it on Amazon.com.
Fantastic. Well, that makes it really easy for us. It's been a great pleasure to speak to you today, Maya. Thank you so much for your time and your interesting insights.
Thank you so much, Sue. It's a pleasure.